G'day everyone. Proud to say Bar Karate is brought to you by Radix Nutrition, makers of the most technically comprehensive nutrition products that have ever existed. Unlock your potential with Radix. G'day listeners, welcome to Bar Karate, the Sailing Podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors, but of course have to share the mic with my two idiot mates. First off, let's welcome Mr. Portugal.
Greetings, exalted one.
Brett Perry.
Olá, como vai?
How are you, buddy?
Vila de Conde in Portugal.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's good.
Well, not bad at Spanish, but I'll tell you what, I don't get a word of Portuguese. It's not easy.
I've been told all you have to do is speak Spanish, but like you're drunk.
Like you've got dyslexia.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, well, it works.
Bicey's probably better at Portuguese. I mean, we spent a little bit of time there. It's a bloody good country. Really good.
Love it.
It's a fantastic place.
No, fantastic.
Yeah. Well, let's bring in Mr. Bison. He can add some detail.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bice.
Back down under, men. I've left the rain behind in bloody New Zealand, which was and just got back just in time for Paddo's 40th, or most people who listen to this show probably know him as Frank.
Frank the Tank.
Which took part last night. So I am a little bit tired, but I'll blame it on the jet lag. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
so,
but all the normal culprits were there, as one would imagine. Till the wee hours. So, perfect.
I just cannot. So, Paddo, we're talking about James Patterson, son of Nick and Ann Patterson, married to Nick Bice's sister. Probably one of the most successful records of any sailor going around at the moment. He's on fire.
3 Hobarts.
Yeah.
Fastnet.
Yeah.
In Nationals.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's on fire.
He's on fire. And I was just going to say, I cannot believe he's 40. I cannot believe. I remember bouncing him on my knees.
Does that make you feel old,
so
Jordan?
Old. Oh, dear. Anyway, they've got a lot to go on to this week. For the listeners, I want to say this episode will, I reckon, be the most important episode we've ever done. I genuinely believe that.
Other than last week.
Look, all our guests we're sport rotten with our guests, but this week we're going to spoil you guys because this is pretty important.
We're going to save lives.
Save lives. Well, not us, our guests will. But,
yes.
But shall I bring her in?
Do it.
Okay. So the setup here is that obviously with the Ginga Challenge, there's been a concern, right? You know, Ginga's sailing is difficult for a certain reason. We get sunburnt, us Gingers. We suffer from the sun. You know, we're missing a soul, but we're also missing that ability to
fight the vitamin D.
Yeah,
yes.
That's it. So our regular team members or our signed up team members from the Ginga Challenge have asked if we can help in some way, and so we thought about that. And there's a friend of ours who is a very talented sailor. She's won a bunch of national championships. She's grown up around sailing. She lives on the Sunshine Coast and is also an expert in the field of skin cancer. And I just thought, well, let's reach out to her. I've been wanting to have this conversation for a long while. So I'd like to welcome to the show Elke Hacker. How are you, El?
Good. Thanks, Jordan. Happy to be here, sharing some skin cancer knowledge, hopefully, with the team on the water so that we can all be prepared for the fun that is sailing.
Yeah. Well, you know, like you look like you're pretty much rugged up for it right now, to tell you the honest truth.
Well, I just came off the beach. So definitely feeling the 20-degree coolness here in Queensland. Definitely Queenslander through and through. So got the
you must be struggling. Exactly. You get the hoodie on.
Yeah. It's 20 degrees. Time to get it out.
Oh, dear. Well, before we go into the sun stuff, let's talk about you because you grew up in a sailing family. I think from my knowledge of you, you've sort of spent your whole life in a sailing family, and you've created your own sailing family in a way now as well. So, just what's the background? So, Lake Catharaba was your home turf, and your dad Charlie's the coach, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he still is the club coach. He just loves it, getting down there on the Sunday with the kids. And grew up on Flatwater Lake Sailing near Noosa. It's a beautiful spot. Beautiful sea breezes in summer. It's pretty hot on the land, so I was always champing at the bit to get on the water and to cool off in Queensland. So love sailing naturally, and really enjoyed getting heaps of time on boats and traveling around with it. Pretty amazing when you look back on our childhoods when you got to go to different nationals and different states and see the world before you're 20. You got to see a lot of things. So it was awesome to sail on all different waters and to have that lifestyle. But it also comes with a bit of a cost of a lot of sun exposure and potential skin damage as we get older. These sorts of things start to manifest. So I think I'm quite aware.
Yeah, I know all about that. Just for the listeners, Catharaba is, as you said, just north of Noosa, and a great place for kids to go sailing because, let's be honest, you got to struggle to drown there because it's pretty shallow. You can walk your way back if something goes wrong, can't you?
Yeah, there's a few urban legends about it out there. There's you can walk across, but there's a lot of people that get about 3/4 of the way and need a rescue, and there's also the how many bodies are in the lake. It's pretty big.
I was going to say, how many people
covered by bushland.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty crazy stories about Fraser, one of the shipwrecks from the Frasers, and his wife being taken by Indigenous people and came through, and actually there's a rock there where the Mrs. Fraser was apparently rescued or saved. And went one way with Indigenous women, and the man went a different way and died. There's a rock there. So there's some pretty crazy legends around the waterway. But if you ever get out there and in the Noosa region, it's a great spot.
Yeah.
The Everglades are awesome sets of rivers to go up. And the lake itself is a big body of water that you can get on and out.
Yeah, this weekend coming, the All Boats Regatta at Catharaba, so I'll probably be up there.
What boat are you going to take, Mr. Boat Owner?
Well, I'm hoping it's windy and I'll take the Impulse because.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So tell us, Elke, on the lake, what's the standard pathway? Is it
to get sailing?
A lot of dinghies to choose from, or you only had a few different classes?
It's a real flat water lake, so there's a lot of catamarans as well as monohulls. So and it's great for that sort of anyone wanting training wheels, basically. So a lot of the guys with A-class cats that are practicing foiling, sailboard foilers. A lot of people will come out just to practice because it's pretty safe. Yeah. As long as there's enough depth for those sorts of things. Monohull wise, there's a great training program. I think there's every type of kids boat under there, from oppies to minnows to sabos to who knows what, sitting under the clubhouse. And they also have a big push for the arrows and intermediate catamaran classes, which are sort of really nice on the flat water. They're actually quite nice to sail. Lots of skiffs as well. There's options.
Any rainbows?
Any rainbows?
I'm not sure if there's rainbows. But there's definitely a mixed fleet. Yeah. I think I went out on a B14 the other day with my dad. So
that's cool.
Just kicking around. Yeah, you take anything out. It was a $1,000 boat challenge, and we got it out and got to one end of the lake and back, and it's all good.
What about
so that sort of place?
What about a Sharpie?
Oh yeah, great for the Sharpie. It doesn't draw as much as a 505. Yeah. It's probably pretty similar pace, so you can definitely get around without any trouble.
Yeah. So
and speaking of which, sandbars and everything to deal with. Or it's a bit of a
it's an oasis, Nick. It's like very little tidal movement, even on a full moon or king tide. It's just all fresh. Comes from one end fresh and out to Noosa River. So it's brackish water, but mainly fresh and very little tide movement. Heaps of heaps of open water. There's only little bits of sandbars at either entry to the lake, which are pretty far away. So I want to say 12 kilometers apart, the lake's length.
Yeah, there you go.
Sounds like paradise.
Well,
don't tell too many people.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, no, that's why you're on the show. Because my mum will come up.
My mum will be there.
The only problem with Catharaba is it's only got one really, really good camping spot. And then, obviously all the houses, and it's got the pub and the yacht club, and, it's just out from Noosa.
What more do you need?
Yeah.
That's what I'm
it's
selling.
only 20 minutes from Noosa, nice point break.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing, of course, is you can get really good honey as well, Elke.
Oh. Yeah. My dad is a beekeeper by trade, so he's got a little honey business. So often end up with a ute load of honey sales going out the back on a Sunday, with people rolling up with coins and their pensioner cash to give you, and you're still not sure what they're getting out of Dad's car. But anyway,
and is that part of the coaching program as well?
I think it is. Get the grandparents in.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a good life, and of course, the other thing in your favour, I mean, all of me, Nick, and Brett, we all met in South Australia, and you've got a good connection to South Oz there because you're married a Heritage, one of the great guys, Sam. Very nice man, your husband.
Yep. No, the Heritage are big sailors in South Australia, so it's great. Both our fathers are boat builders.
Yeah.
Now we're cooking.
Yeah.
Deep into it.
Cool. All right. So just before we go into the whole element of skin cancer stuff, what's your? I mean, obviously you've got a couple of kids, and I know Sam's been doing the 5-0s. What about you, Elke? I know you've done a little bit in the Sharpies. What's coming up for you?
Oh, not too much at the moment, Jordan. I've got a little bit on with the kids and work, but I'm looking forward to getting out on the lake as soon as I can over the September sort of period. School holidays up here soon, so it's always great to get on the water in any craft, but no major plans at the moment.
If you could have anything, Elke, any boat, because you've had this lifetime of sailing, and someone said, right, I've got the kids for the next year, you don't have to do any work. Like, let's say, and then you could just sail anything. What would you want to sail?
Well, I think I'd like to have a crack at something with a foil. I grew up a bit before foiling was a thing.
Yeah.
So I always went sailboarding as a bit of fun in amongst sailing. And I love the speed, pushing it to the edge of the rail on the sailboard. But foiling wasn't very common. It wasn't at all available. And so now I'm a bit older, I sort of see it and think, oh, that'd be nice to have a try. But also a little bit wiser. And I know how many crashes I had on the sailboard pushing some edges. So I'm not sure if I'm ready for those sorts of crashes in my 40s. But I think it would be nice to have a crack.
Yeah. No, it's a good one. I'm just interested, like I always wonder what was going through people's mind. Do you guys ever talk about going off cruising or any of that sort of stuff?
No, not really. I really love my job. I'm enjoying work at the moment. I have some crazy cool sciencey projects, and you kind of can't take your foot off the pedal to push them through to a product at the other end to help people out. So I think when you're driving in that way, you kind of think, oh, that island trip of paradise isn't far away, but let's get this other stuff sorted first. So I think that's where the mind's at now. But there's always a boat project somewhere in the rafters.
Cool. I think you and Bicey
maybe a rainbow might come up. Sam will definitely know what a rainbow is.
Sure. You and Bicey in the same shoes, both loving jobs at the moment, so that's good. That's very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of the job, Elke, and while we've got you on, the role. Just want to explain the role that you're in now, and how you actually got there, or whether it was a career choice or it's ended up in your lap. somehow?
Yeah. I'm a scientist, so I studied science at uni, and then I went on and did a graduate course training. That's kind of where you do your trade. You do 3 years learning about it out of textbooks, and I was kind of okay at that. But then when you do your graduate training, it's like you start on the dishes, basically cleaning the glassware, and as you go up, you get to do things with your hands that are pretty cool, and you have to have pretty fine motor skills to make some of the things work. So I was pretty good at that, and I really loved it and like doing the hands-on science. And so that's where graduate training comes in, and I just never left. So I did my PhD before I was 25, and I just kept working on awesome projects since then, and I always learn new things. And yeah, it's really interesting. Science can be very very slow to achieve something sometimes, but other times it can be just rapid speed. The race is on, the flag's dropped, everyone's against each other. There'll be some collaborations around the world, and you're all racing to have that discovery, and it's a great challenge, and it really does come down to some really cool thinking and some cool actual nous to do it in the terms of the experiments and how we make stuff.
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing about some of these experiments and all those sorts of things. You must have done some crackers during your time, for sure.
Oh, look, all human experiments are approved, of course, Nick.
No, of course. Yeah, and we're talking to him, the one Jordan Spencer, as we speak.
Well, I feel like we let's roll into it. So, there's obviously a lot of self-interest here, because if I give the history, I was born in New Guinea, so I grew before they had sunscreen, like it just wasn't a thing. We all ran around, and, I remember my skin peeling off every few weeks, and then, I used to be...
You got to stop wearing a leaf, mate.
Yeah.
I know you grew up there, but...
I didn't wear clothes.
And you still got to stop doing it now, okay?
Yeah. And then, you had to be tough when I was young, and you didn't wear gloves, and you did all this sort of crap. And then after a while, I've just suddenly wised up, and I now when I go sailing, I'm covered head to toe. In Queensland, I've got these sort of lycra long johns rather than neoprene, and wear them. So I'm covered from right head to toe. You can't find a bit of skin except what's my face. But now I'm seeing the consequences. I've had a third of my lip removed. I've had sections and skin grafts on my arms, and all these bits have come out because of the consequence of the way I grew up. And that's what we want to try and talk about, so we can prevent kids going through that. I've got, my mate Adrian Finglas, Ades pretty well, Elke. He's gone through the same thing. There's it's the ginger's shot, but, we don't seem to get the melanomas as quickly as other people that probably have got better skin, but we all suffer in different ways. So let's talk about what is skin cancer. That's the question. What does it matter to people who sail?
Yeah, skin cancer is unfortunately really prominent in Australia. So 2 out of 3 Australians, by the time you're 70, you'll have a skin cancer. So obviously Jordan's already taking it for the team on this call. But it is really common. So the reasons for this are largely came to fruition from migration studies, where we look at people that are age matched and live and reside in the UK, and those that unfortunately migrated to Australia, or fortunately.
Yeah.
And you see double the rate in those that live in Australia when they arrived here as children, as opposed to if you match them and the person migrated to Australia over the age of, say, 15, 16. So if you come to Australia later and you get that high exposure of sunning light, it's not as bad for your skin as if you came earlier, as some of us Australians, we were here our whole lives.
Yep.
So there is a lot of thought around initiating events of our skin around early exposure during childhood.
Right.
And this theory comes from those migration studies, which sort of, pretty well matched in terms of genetics. The genetics of the UK pretty similar to fair-skinned Australians, they were in the 90s. So, yeah, we see this high rate in Australia, and that's largely driven by a beautiful climate. We have lots of cloud-free days as well as sunny days compared to the UK, where we were probably evolved to reside. And we also see a lot of sun radiation actually reaching the Earth's surface in Australia compared to other countries where you'll have cloud cover and other factors that will means the sun's position doesn't give that index of radiation, and we call that the UV index. You'll often see in Australia our UV index is in the purple zone, which is extreme, and the UK will barely get to red, which is sort of 7 or 8. We're off that Richter in 13. So basically what it's saying is about a couple of minutes in Australia's sun is equivalent to like an hour in the UK sun. And you'll see that when people travel. We did a really neat project during one of the Ashes projects, cricket matches in 2018, where tourists from England come to watch the cricket. And you won't, you're not allowed to put people in the sun. It's against sort of some of our ethical standards. And so, but if you're willing to watch cricket for a number of hours, most matches go for 5 to 6 hours, then you could study the people who will volunteering to sit in the sun. So we turned the Gabba in Queensland into a solar simulator for our experiment. So we asked these people when they go into the cricket match will be part of our study. And so what we showed is when people were in the cricket, if they were given a reminder to put sunscreen on, the sunscreen reminder changes color. So it's like a stamp on your hand. And if you put sunscreen over the top, it's clear. And as the sunscreen wears away, and it wears away for lots of reasons, can be sweat, can be wiped off, it can be sun.
Spill a beer on it at the cricket.
Well, beer is probably not too bad. Most sunscreen's water resistant, but
that's good.
Basically, it over that period of time, the people that had the sticker, and one of them was I think #Movember. The other one was Beat England. So the people, you could see those that were given the sticker and were able to reapply sunscreen, and they were reapplying more sunscreen, which showed us that people don't understand how bad the sun is and how often you need to reapply because they put too thin a layer of sunscreen on. So we all think you only have to reapply every 2 hours, but that's if you like cake it on like a paint layer. But no one ever applies it that thick. So the study was really neat because it actually illustrated that these people needed to reapply sunscreen all the time, and that by having a color changing ink as a prompt, it showed them how quickly their thin cover wore off. I think that's something that we probably can all take on board is like when we put sunscreen on, unless we're painting it on like a film, then it's really not going to be that protective. And like Jordan said, you can use clothing in lots of areas of your body in order to reduce that sunscreen, and just 100% clothing is going to do its job. And that sort of is one of the things we would sort of suggest is if you can use clothing or other prevention, then do it. Sunscreen is that last line of defense.
Have you seen a progression of sunscreen over the years? Like obviously when we were growing up, it was down the local beach with some coconut oil sprayed on to now where we're seeing 50 plus. So we're going to see more. Are we going to see almost zinc? Like some, because it's pretty. I sail as well, and I do a lot of time out there, and I'm using quite strong sunscreen. But the worst part is now it's so thick, and you go that bluey color. Which you got to do, but it's trying to get it off at the end of the day when you come home.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point in terms of your different sun protection factors. So 50 plus, you have to have a lot of active ingredient to get to that level of protection for them. So you're blocking about 98% of UV radiation with 50 plus. And in terms of say 25 or SPF 20, you're blocking sort of 93, 92%. So you're actually, for the amount of actives you have to increase in your formulation, you're only saving 5 or 7% of UV radiation coming through. So there is a train of thought that actually find the sunscreen that works for you. If it's aesthetically pleasing and you're going to put it on every day because that stuff is like beautiful, then that's the one you should be using, because you are on the water, or you live in Australia and it's beautiful every day, or live in Queensland, it's sunny one day and beautiful the next, then you should have your sunscreen on every day, and you need to find one that you're happy to put on every day.
I enjoyed it, BP, when you used to run the pink zinc on the schnozzle.
Yeah. No, I was a bit of whack a bit of pink zinc on the schnoz.
I think that the beauty of zinc is it's a physical sunscreen. So once it's gone, you can see it's gone and you need to reapply. Yeah. And where you put it, you actually see where you've put it. If you've missed somewhere, then that's the area that's not going to be protected. So some of those zinc lines, I think many people have the sunburn under the eye. It's pretty familiar. And so sometimes a physical sunscreen is quite helpful because you do realize which areas you've missed. And we do some research on UV photography. So you little gadgets these days, there's apps and little cameras you can buy. You can Google it up. They're pretty cheap. And basically it'll show you where you've missed your sunscreen.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of pretty helpful too, because it's often around the eyes and the lips, Jordan, where you've got some cut out. So having some lip sunscreen, so some lip balm that has an SPF in it is really ideal, especially for anyone going on the water. It's just reapply all the time.
Yeah, so the program I run these days is exactly that. I've got a lip balm with sunscreen in it. So as soon as I wake up, I put that on just in case I'm going. I mean, I've had it. Once you've had a third of your lip cut out, you just, life is pretty uncomfortable for the next 6 weeks. And my wife probably didn't want to kiss me anymore. But you put that on straight away. But then we've got the surf mud up here. There's a local company makes surf mud, which has been really what's called surf mud, and it.
Yep.
Yeah, the local Surf Lifesaving, they teach you how to put it on. Like they've all got these different techniques, and you all sort of discuss it, and it's been a lot better through that. But I was never really thought about the element you were talking about with the UV index, where as you said, we get a sailing regatta here in Australia, World Champs, and you'll see the Poms out in the sun non-stop, shirts off, the whole thing, and all the Aussies hiding under the shade. And it just stressed me out, I like to watch these people just trying to kill themselves, and I never understood why that they've got this habit, and that obviously it's because the sun just is not impacting. I just assumed it'd impact the same all across the globe, but obviously
I could definitely speak to that. Having spending time in Europe and hardly putting any sunscreen on, but then coming back home and you can really feel the intensity. Yeah,
yep, I noticed that.
But
and that's the same in NZ, I would say. Is that a UV layer thing or just that intensity?
I think it has to do with where we are in the world and the equator line and the orientation of the sun. So I'm not a physicist, but those guys love that stuff and they model it out and tell me the sun rays come at this angle and that equals the energy of whatever radiation. And that's why we're so much higher than the UK.
Yeah, sure.
And we have a lot bigger window of time where the sun is in that position, because we have such long daylight hours.
Wouldn't as you get in the northern hemisphere, as you come further closer to the equator, you're going to get the same issues that we have in that you get a lot more because the sun's at the right angle then for you as well. So yeah.
Yep. But you'll notice a lot of the indigenous populations close to the equator are quite different in there.
Yeah. Skin colour, yeah. No, that's of course. Which is the melanin.
Yeah, melanin. Yeah. So we do us Caucasians, we do have a little bit of a system to try and protect us. So we have what we call melanocytes. So if you think about your skin like bricks, your skin is all bricked up. It's beautiful. It's like the nicest laid brick pattern you could get. And then you have this one little cell that's like a star, and he's your melanocyte, and he has dendrites and these little tentacles that come out, and he touches about 30 bricks, just one cell. And what he does, his job is to secrete the pigment into your skin, and that gives you your color. You, Jordan, have a different pigment to some of us, and yours is a pheomelanin, which comes out reddy brown, and your melanin is your browner colors. So these pigments are made by that cell, and it goes out and gives us our tan, and it goes into those what we call keratinocytes or brick-like cells, and it builds up. But as our cells get old, the bricks turn over naturally, like in the most beautiful system. As each brick ages, it goes up the queue, and then it gets to the top of the brick surface, and it degrades off. And it doesn't just degrade off; it sort of shrinks himself up into a little protective layer of old skin,
right.
And that helps scatter the radiation as it comes down. So it's a really beautiful system to help us out. It's just we weren't designed for extreme Australian conditions.
Yeah.
And that's where you see other indigenous populations that actually have a lot more melanin and a lot more melanocytes across their skin, so they can be more robust. And you'll see that their tanning response is also much greater, so they'll tan a lot quicker and faster than us in terms of responding to UV. A lot of us, unfortunately, will get over a threshold and just it's done. It turns into skin damage and sheds off as a blister.
Yeah. And is that something that's quite hereditary as well? Well, not hereditary. Like if you're high, you have these factors high in your family. Does that get passed down?
Yeah. So, it's a really good question. Is your pigmentation genetically linked? So, is Jordan's got a certain genetic makeup that makes him red hair and pheomelanin producing person? Yeah, he does. He has a gene called MC1R, and he carries a dominant variant in that gene, and it gives him the benefit of making pheomelanin, which if he lived in the UK would probably make him a happy chap and balance his vitamin D in a low sun environment. But in Australia, what it does is it gives him less protection. So it means he has less protection for sunburns and those type of events. But, maybe there's other things that he benefits as well. So, there is a genetic difference between those that are red hair and have the ability to make pheomelanin and those that have a brown hairy phenotype.
Well, you're better looking as a redhead, and obviously all the
clearly,
and all
you have a lot more punch ups as well.
I
think there's a crazy pain one as well. I think
there is. It's true.
There's
like if you get like a local anaesthetic, it doesn't work as much. You have to get double the local anaesthetic. Like if you go to the dentist, you still feel it. It's bizarre. It is a genetic element to it. Yep. But
is that the same? Is that the same with beer?
Whatever bias he's got the immunity to beer.
I think it's just a neuro-processing part that's slightly different in MC1R. But I mean, Jordan, I think you still feel pain the same. It's just some of the neuro blockers are different responses.
It doesn't. Yeah, you can't shut it off.
I think if you pinch him, he's still going to squeal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm still or punch you in the face.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. But so because the other element for people listening, and they're probably all going, well, I don't have red hair, I don't have ginger skin, so I don't have to worry about this stuff. But it's not true, because one of the big fallacies, I think, is that everyone thinks you've got to be in the sunlight to be affected, but it's actually the UV that does the damage. And so that can come through clouds, it can come through anything. And my understanding is there's UVA, which ages you, and UVB, which burns you. If I got that right.
Beautifies you.
Hey?
Beautifies you.
Oh, yeah, beautifies you.
Yeah, no, that's really well put. I never remembered it that way, but that'll be a good one for the students. So, A is a longer wavelength, and it can get deeper into your skin, but not as energized and not as able to cause what we call DNA damage. So B can get in there and hit the nucleus and just make it go messy. So it can cause mutations, and that is where we think there's a high risk of getting a naughty cell start to kick on and cause a nest and then become a malignant cancer. So definitely UVB, and UVB is really common. Is the most going to be the biggest burst of energy coming through when the sun's overhead at that midday point. That's when the UVB is going to be getting to the Earth's surface the most. And that's why we always tell people to avoid those peak UV periods, because that's where you got the peak amount of UVB coming through. Your morning and your afternoon, you got UVA mainly in the sunlight, and so it's not thought as bad. So if you could do your activity like a beach walk, like I did this afternoon, if you could do it after 4:30, then it's a much better time of day to be out there and enjoying the environment. Or if you could do it in the morning,
or like the Finns start at 8 o'clock in the morning.
BP, I'm so waiting for you to get your guitar and start singing the song, and between 11 and 3, slip under a tree.
Actually, Elke, I'll tell you a funny story. I met these two sisters here.
My mum's listening. By the way,
just remember, and they're both my mum's listening too.
Both quite active. They'd be up in the morning exercising and stuff, and they're basically the same age. They were the same age, and one didn't wear sunscreen and one did, and the one that didn't wear sunscreen looked at least 15 years older than the other one. So it was sort of mid-40s, 50s, and the one that hadn't worn sunscreen looked particularly.
Oh, really?
It was amazing. Like she was saying,
it is crazy.
Yeah, and it was really evident when she started saying, because I was looking at them, and then she said, I don't wear sunscreen, and she does most of her stuff in the mornings, exercise outdoors. We all do.
Yeah. So we talked about UVB being the damaging for the cancer. So that's true. It gets into the nucleus, causes all sorts of trouble, makes that mutation kick off the event. But UVA is still not our friend. UVA hits your collagen. It hits those connective fibers that make our skin so plump and juicy and helpful. And it just shreds them over time. So UVA is still going to hurt your wrinkle-free face. It's still going to damage that collagen, and that collagen damage, I'm afraid to say, is irreversible. No matter how much the face creams want to tell you they're going to fix it, it doesn't. Once the strength of those elastic fibers are gone, they're not coming back. What we recommend is, just that circular motion on your face. Helps a little bit with moving things around, but the cream itself, that you don't have to go and pay $800 next time you're going through duty free to get your nice face cream, and it's just stay out of the sun and use SPF sort of factors in your daily routine.
There goes our face cream sponsorship. We were just negotiating.
I was just about to say.
And about we all start massaging our cheeks.
No, don't worry about Elk.
I was trying to think of a brand, and I'm going, God, they're gone. That's the end of them.
We don't care. We don't care. We want people.
We've got to go down a sunscreen path now, perhaps.
Yeah. So then, from that perspective, if you have any different type of skin tone, like color and stuff, are you equally at risk? Like in my observation, like I think I said to you before we started, I sort of olive skin people seem to get melanomas, to my just random observation, more than sort of the gingers do, so.
Yeah, it is true. There's some different pathways, we call it, to different types of cancers. So for some reason, we're not really sure why. We do a lot of work in this space looking at pathway theories and modeling it. I'm sure you can imagine how much of the taxpayers' dollars spent thinking about it. But we don't really understand why some people have, and we've done large studies with different genetic makeup. So, I've done large collaborations with Spanish hospitals, looking at their data set, looking at Australian data set, looking at the UK, trying to work out what's going on with the different groups, who's getting what, how. But there's no clear pathway of how these cancers manifest in the different groups. So basically what you do see is, if you're the type of person that gets a mole or has what we call nevi, so little black dots, then you're going to have a molier phenotype. So you are going to present with a lot of moles. And in Australia, we see people with hundreds of them. So you try and do a skin examination of someone who's got 200 to 400 moles. You start to think which one's suspicious, which one I'm taking off today. Whereas other people might freckle. And they don't actually get those pigmented moles. So there's those different responses naturally that you see in people. Why some people kick on and have their cancer early, under 40, and others get theirs a bit later in life is still a bit of a mystery. But what we certainly do know is if you get high amounts of sun exposure when you're young, it increases your likelihood. And we know that kids, like in Queensland, we know that large portion of kids, there's about 49% of kids are sunburned in the last 12 months. And so we know most of these sunburns, 70% of them are associated with water-based activities. So every sunburn a child gets is increasing their risk, no matter what type of cancer they're going to go on to get different types of skin cancer. So I guess the take-home message for me when we did all these fancy genetics works and fancy pathology was just prevent it. Like, let's not get here. And if we work better on our prevention strategies, it took me a while, about 10 years to get to that mindset. So just bear with me on it. If we prevent it, then we don't actually end up with the nasty cancer at 40 or 60 and having to trace back how it happened. And we know how to prevent it, which is ironic. Yeah. Just don't get sunburned and reduce your number of childhood sunburns. So I think looking at the evidence, we can sort of start to really attack that. Kids are outside doing water-based activities, more likely to be in the water. Does the UV penetrate water? Yeah, it does, a couple of meters. If it's clear water, if it's brackish sediment water, it's less. But when you're in the water and you're nice and cool, you don't know you're getting burnt. When you towel down after you get out of the water, you rub all your sunscreen off right there. And you never reapply because you're nice and dry now and you're not going back in, so you think you're safe. So there's all these little things that we all know we do that we could help us and help the kids not get sunburn. I think one of the really important ones also is not getting a re-sunburn. I think we can all testify to starting a regatta and maybe emptying that container and not thinking you're going to be 4 hours and getting a bit of a sunburn, and then you go for the next 4 or 5 days with nursing that sunburn through. So, that's another big no-no. Once your skin integrity has been damaged with a sunburn, you really want to prevent that from getting any more damage. So cover it up, get it out of the sun, and a lot of hydration too. If you get integrity to your skin, sort of becomes a bit weepy and a bit swollen, then hydration's a key, and keeping it cool in cold water and things like that. So if you are doing a regatta and you get a sunburn, it's really not good for your performance either, because you're gonna have to have that, and the risk of dehydration throughout, as well as the pain and discomfort of having that sunburn.
Wow.
Are we getting better as a society, or
it's a good question
in your data that you see?
Yeah, I was
like
ask
20 years ago compared to today, or even further back?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say I'd have to go further back than 20 years, because 20 years ago it was, we've had Sid the Seagull in Australia since 1970s.
Flip, slop, slap.
Yeah, and then we had SunSmart, which came on board.
With Norm.
Norm was a bit active. So we have had large campaigns in Australia since the 70s, and it has made a huge difference. So when you say, have we gotten better? Yeah, compared to the rest of the world we have. But do we have a long way to go? Yeah, because the latest data set shows us 45% of kids are sunburned in the last 12 months. Wow. 70% of it was associated with water-based activities. So you kind of go, yeah, we're getting better, but, if we want to shift that 2 out of 3 Australians coming home with a skin cancer by the age of 70, we gotta keep the kids from getting sunburnt. But it's a real hard ask here, because how many days of the year in Queensland are sunny compared to the UK? We've got to try and protect them for so much wider longevity of their life as a child, compared to you might only have 2 weeks some summers in the UK. So not that big a ask.
It's interesting. Obviously in Queensland we're a little bit spoilt because it only rains at night time and it's sunny every day. It's kind of perfect, and it never gets cold. So it is difficult to not get sunburnt here. But one of the things that I hear occasionally, and you see on some of these sort of websites, is that sunscreen is bad for you. It's worse for you than the sun. And people are trying to spread this rumour. Now, obviously to me, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But have you heard this? What do you say?
Yeah, it's a really interesting conundrum. Obviously, if you're going out in the sun, you're going to wear more sunscreen. So if you ask a set of studies, do you wear sunscreen? Often the people that get the cancer say yes, because they're outside more, they're using the sunscreen.
Yeah, right.
So it's a confounding factor in our studies. So you can't just necessarily say, hey, there's this one factor and it leads to this. I think it's a common misnomer that one factor can lead to such a complex disease such as cancer. So we do need to pull that back a little bit and look at how sunscreens are regulated in Australia. So we're really lucky in our country. We have strong frameworks. So sunscreens are regulated by our Therapeutic Goods Association, which is called the TGA for short. And it's equivalent to the FDA in the US. And what it does is it makes sure that the sunscreens meet a medical standard. So it's similar. It's very similar to how a medicine is processed. So we have a sunscreen standard. So the level of regulatory framework in Australia is very high for sunscreens, and they're managed by the TGA. So I think in terms of what gets into our market, it's very, very safe products. There are a world of we are in a global world now, so people go overseas, go on holidays, they buy sunscreen there, they bring it back. There is different markets where it won't be as regulated as in Australia, but we've been regulated since I believe the 80s for a very long time, longer than I've been alive.
What sort of side effects were they sort of seeing? I mean, obviously there's been a lot of rumors about, that it gets into your skin and gets into your bones and all these sort of things. There's nothing that I've ever heard that has been proven. It's just been a bunch of people's.
No, I mean, there's always certain work going on, and it's not necessarily looking at the sunscreen itself. It may be looking at factors within the sunscreen, and these studies might be done in animal models, and they might be extrapolated out, and they may also be done in ways where they take a tablet instead of actual topical application. So these are all the different sort of variation or limitations, we would say, of the studies, sort of showing cause of an effect. But again, the sunscreens that are available for purchase in Australia are a very regulated framework, and all of the active ingredients on them have been screened and are monitored by the TGA. So similar to any other medicine.
I'm just having a little chuckle. I'm just imagining a monkey on roller skates with zinc cream on. Bit of animal testing.
Yeah, I think that the zincs are one of those sunscreens been around a long time as well, and we haven't seen anything too crazy there. If something was going to manifest, after 40, 50 years of using it, tons of it in Australia, we should have seen something. Should have seen the monkey with 3 heads, like it would have popped out by now. But we haven't, so it's hard to.
We can put that to bed.
We can put that to bed with the flat earthers. Can put that one to bed as well.
We'll leave it over in the corner with the flat earthers.
But I've got a little quiz for you, Elke. True or false? Yeah. And this is leading to a bit of a story. True or false? After sun, you go and snap off a bit of aloe vera and put it on. Is that beneficial?
Well, that's a toughie. So it's often seen as
feels nice.
It feels nice. It's a soothing lotion. It moisturizes the skin. Does it functionally do anything other than add moisture to that environment? Not sure.
Not.
But if you're applying that aloe vera because you got sunburn and your skin is now red hot, I would suggest running it under cold water, not sticking some sticky plant on it. But if your skin is just naturally dry because it is dry in that environment, then having some moisturizing product is fine to help it along. And skin health is just like any other system. You live in your own skin your whole life. You know what works for you. If you get dry elbows, you chuck something on it. You get a dry patch, you can work it out. Is there a silver bullet that makes sunburn go away? Nope, other than avoiding getting sunburn. So I would suggest avoid the sunburn. Ask the question, is it red because I got sunburn, or is it red? Is it just dry skin and then you're just moisturizing it? So
you've kind of answered my second question. Cutting a tomato in half and rubbing that on your sunburn. Does that
cucumbers on the eyes?
For some reason, within the Bice household, that might have been a bit of a myth, I think. But Mum never liked
tomato on
it.
the face. Yeah, tomato. I think that might have just been a pain-reinforcing trauma experiment on you guys. That one.
That's why we turned out the way we did.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, which does lead me into possibly one of the funniest stories within the Bice household in the last 50 years is when my old man went out crabbing. He'll like this, and he came back so sunburnt. And I remember him walking in, and we were just like blown away. And my mother's gone, David, go and put some aloe vera on your face. There's some in the bathroom. And then he comes out, he goes in with a red face, comes out with an orange face. And it's like, what on earth's going on here? It wasn't that aloe vera. He's grabbed some of Mum's self-tan, rubbed it all into his face.
Yeah, I bet that didn't go well over
Jesus,
coming weeks.
Looked like a bit of balloon.
Poor bugger.
Funny.
I could just imagine Dave
still laugh about it.
Beer
Yeah,
in hand.
the best thing you can do for a sunburn is cold water. Just like any other burn, you burn yourself with a kettle, you burn yourself with the sun. Get in there with some cold running water. As cold as you can tolerate for as long as you can tolerate. Get the heat out of it, cool it down by keeping moisture there, and keep it clean.
Yeah, wow.
I guess the question I have, Elk, is when you are sort of looking at sort of potential areas of damage and all that sort of stuff. I mean, you're looking for moles that change shape. You're looking for constant itching or bleeding or something like that, and then you go to the doctor, and the doctor does a check, and they just go, no, that's all right, that's all right, that's all right. I mean, you seeing it instantly what it looks like. I mean, these little areas and patches, because out of all the spots that I was concerned about, she burnt 2 off, and she said, no, the rest are fine. I mean, is it something you just got to keep watching?
Yeah, I think in Australia, we're unfortunately have a huge burden of this disease, which in some ways is terrible for the patient, but in other ways for the clinical team, it actually provides you with ample evidence and practice to get good at your skill set. People I know come from all over the world to get skin checks in Australia because they know that the clinical diligence is so good because people pick it up every day. They'll pick up the difference between benign lesion and a malignant one. You go to other health systems and it's a rare event, so you actually don't get that good at picking it up because it only comes every now and again. So in Australia, we're super lucky. We have skin cancer clinics. We have your GP. We have dermatologists. And you also find now a lot of the major hospitals, I think there's about 18 machines across Australia that are called Vectra machines. So these ones are a bit like an avatar, got a plethora of cameras, maybe somewhere between 20 and 40 cameras that rotate around you, take a picture everywhere. And then they sort of bring up the ones they think are changing from the time lapse. So, there's some crazy smarts. And these machines, the Vectras, are really good for those high-risk patients. You know, the guys we're talking about that have 200 to 400 moles on their body. A clinician just can't spend all day looking at each one. So for those high-risk patients, we send them through into those hospital settings where they can get the Vectra and get those full body scanned approach. And that's, really revolutionizing that level of care because those high-risk patients do get things cut out all the time. And it's a great way to monitor that sort of number of potential suspect lesions.
I've got it. Oh, sorry. I've got another true or false, actually, Elke, for you. Windburn. Is that is it a thing?
Yeah, it is a thing. We often I think we often mislabel it. Windburn does happen. It's really common in mountain or skiing environments where it's really windy, really cold, dry. And dry. It has to be really dry where the snow's going to, come down. So it's those sorts of in dry environments where you do get wind damage. And what wind damage does do is it rips those dead cells off your skin, which were adding some level of protection on top of that bricks. And so it sort of weakens the protection, the layers of your skin. And then that wind force itself sort of abrases your skin and causes that inflammation and damage. Obviously, it's also not good to get sunburnt as well as windburn. So, you often see people skiing in balaclavas. I think that's pretty common. And you wear your ski goggles. So, there's absolutely nothing that's going to get shown. So that's a real classic example of an environment where you would see windburn when you see everyone on the mountain with a balaclava on that day. In Australia, if you've been out on the water and you think you got windburn, I would put a beer on it that it's sunburn and go and have a cold shower.
Not put a beer on it as in the wind holding on it to just soothe the pain.
Dear. So here's one. The late great Sir James Hardy used to have this theory that what you do is you have your shower in the morning, right? And as soon as you come out of the shower, before you go sailing, you put your sunscreen on then because your pores are open and you get this really strong base layer and it holds the sunscreen and you get a much longer protection. So that was something he sort of mentioned over the years. Have you ever heard that one?
Oh, well, definitely. I think you'll hear on all the instructions for use on sunscreens is to apply at least 15, 20 minutes before you go out in the sun. So I reckon Sir Hardy was onto something in terms of getting in the house into the routine before you've even got in the car and got all sweaty, to get that sunscreen on and to get that layer of protection and that armor on for your skin. The problem a lot of us face is that we actually jump in the car. I don't know about you, but running late for that race time, you jump out, you're rusting around, rigging up, doing this, finding whatever you broke last time needed fixing, and you haven't actually even put the sunscreen on. And then it's sort of 20 minutes of that incidental sunlight, we call it, where you don't even know you're doing it, but you're getting it. And so if you can stop that by not leaving the house without doing it, then you already cut out your incidental.
Yeah.
It's just like the barbecue you go to, you think you're only there and you're not in the sun, and you get home and you're as red as a beetroot. You're thinking, how did I get sunburned today? I only just went for one drink at a barbecue. But it's that incidental damage where you didn't prepare for it, you weren't expecting it, and therefore it only takes 5 minutes to get a sunburn in Australia. So it's not long between the car park and the trailer that you're fixing or whatever you're up to, and that skin now being in trauma.
How angry with yourself do you get when you get a little bit of burnt? You must get really angry.
Oh, you can see my face going, Brett, I don't get burnt. Beautiful.
What about
just a question?
What
It's like
about-
anything, like you've got so much knowledge on it. You must be, so diligent with yourself. I mean, it's fair to say that
kids are always your soft point. If your kids come home in the sunburn, and you're always a bit down on yourself. But I think for
so
me,
hard, isn't it? Though
it's hard. It's a realistic. You can't do it every day of the year. Australia's so tough in terms of our harsh environment. You do what you can and you do your best. There's always honest truth. You'll see the tan line on your children or yourself, and that's where you're missing. Tan line or a freckle line, wherever those moles pop out on your kids, that's a sunburn that they got that's now going to stay with them for life, that mole. Or you'll see a tan line on something, and that's where you keep doing it. This is the difference between protected and unprotected skin.
This is why my parents probably didn't take as much care, because they never put clothes on me, so there was no tan line. I just ran around.
It was just a shape of the leaf.
What about we're sort of out of time, but I just want to ask one last thing. The important one is is there like some future projects that'll solve all the problems for us?
Well, I think the future projects is probably on us to all stand up and to be accountable for our own health.
Right.
I don't think we need a health system to save us from the sun. I think we can all look up and agree it's there.
Yeah.
It hits us every day, and we can be the solution. We can be the answer to it. Just protect yourself. You got 5 ways. You got your hat, you got glasses, you got clothing, you seek shade, avoid the sun during peak hours, and your 6th one is add the sunscreen if you got to do it all.
Yep.
I've got the solution, gents.
Okay.
And Elke. AMB to folding arm awnings. They'll protect you from sun all day long.
Shade automatically come out.
www.amb.com.au. You can give me a call if you want.
Guess one of Bicey's income streams, obviously. Okay. So, Elke, this has been fantastic. So one of the things I'll highlight is that one thing you said multiple times is it's the damage when you're young that leads to the skin cancers, right? And it happens more if you're doing water-based activities, and kids are getting burnt, and that's bad, right? So parents out there listening, if you obviously being a ginger and all the other shit I complained about, not only do I do that, every 6 to 9 months I've got to go and see a specialist doctor who knows that I'm not going anywhere else, because she's got the full store of my photographs, so she's got the database, so she can charge whatever she wants, and then burns the crap out of you with these bloody freeze guns, and you spend the next week in pain. It's more painful than talking to Bison.
I mean, don't let it get to you, mate. All right.
Yeah, I'm just saying for the kids. I'm trying to get the kids to understand.
100%.
And I'd also say the men out there as well. Like, we do see a lot of resistance sometimes with men as we age to go and have regular checks and regular checkups. I've had to sit through more than one lunch seminar looking at a de-sculpting of a cancer fertilization on the head, where we see too many cancers, so we've got to take the whole skin off.
Wow.
And it's great after a sandwich, and that's all you get to eat for the day. But it's
kids.
so common. It's so common with Queensland Queensland Australian men.
You see a lot of people with those sort of scars that you can tell that they're either a skin graft that's been put back on, or it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
So you got too many cancers in the one spot because you got a lot of sunburn, and we got to take a big cut, and we have to take the whole lot. So these are real problems that happen to us as we age. They're not this week's problem, Jordan, but they're the problem when you're in your 70s and 80s. And so it's what you can do now is regular skin checks to get anything that's suspect early, so it's a smaller cut and doesn't grow out into that field.
Which is the key, right?
Yeah, yep, definitely. Surveillance is that second arm. You prevent it, and then we have good secondary surveillance to get it early.
Yep. So for the listeners out there, take care. Just from day one, look after.
It's
your
real.
kids.
It's real. In the past, it was never real. We didn't.
Yeah.
We like to look bronzed. But that's what the mentality was. That's why I'm heading back to the old spray on coconut oil. It used to be a profession for some people.
If you can't tone it, tan it.
Yeah. Actually, that's one thing we should add, Elke, just to add to the depth of understanding. The sun, it reflects back off the water, doesn't it?
Yeah, you got really high reflection rates off the water and off light surfaces. So you'll often see boats are quite often white, the decks are white.
Yeah.
You see lots of reflection back, and it can come back up and in under you. So you're sitting under that shade awning or that edge of the boom tent, you think you're fine, but it's actually all rebounding around you and coming back at you. So if you're anywhere near bodies of water, and even sand, sand's about 25% reflection rate. So these things all come back and do get you. So it is really important, if you're seeking shade, that you also think about whether you need sunscreen on those exposed skin sites to add that extra layer of protection against the reflected radiation.
And it'll go through windows as well. There's that old wives' tale about you're protected if you're behind a window, but that's not true, is it?
Well, it's not true up to a level. So if you've got a tinted window, I'm not sure if you've got a tinting sponsor, but if you do have one.
But if you're interested.
If you're behind a tinted window, you're probably pretty safe. But if you're like in Australia, our cars have a legal rule where the front windscreen, which is also one of the largest windscreens, can't be tinted.
Yeah.
So that level of light is coming through. So standing behind glass, it helps a little bit, but unless it's tinted glass, it's probably not helping a great deal. And instead, seek shade away from the sun.
That's it. So prevention and then surveillance, they're the lessons. So yeah, Elke, I'm so glad we got the chance to chat because,
this is another one of those, could go on for another hour or so, isn't it?
I feel like we'll come back to you.
I'll just get the checkbook out. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
How's long this consult? 5-minute intervals okay with you, bloke?
Yeah. We'll talk about it this weekend. I'll see you up at the lake. But hey, thanks for taking the time to chat to us, and really appreciate what you, and for the listeners, I hope that it really does sink home for some. I really do.
No worries. Thanks for the time, and safe sailing, and stay safe on the water, guys.
Okay.
Thanks, Elke. Very educational. Very educational, man. That and didn't time fly when you're talking about something which has so much gravitas, you would say. It's very important.
I like a bit of the educational side of things. We've done that a couple of times this year, and talking about things from a little bit of a scientific view. But the one thing that stands out is it's real and it's scary. If if you think about what our parents are going through, and it's starting to happen with us a little bit. You've got to look after the kids. Now it's all different.
Yeah. No, ironically, I did have a mole map done.
Right.
Only last week. It was a bit of a thing that Southerns were doing with all their employees, and this is the 3rd year running, I think. And last year they recognised a couple of potential cancers that got cut out. So all that sort of thing is a good thing.
Mole map. A mole. I've never heard it. Like, I've got this sort of funny picture of Sagittarius and a Capricorn. Has that joined them all together? Is that what it was?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like a constellation.
Yeah. I love it. Look, I found that really valuable, and obviously
me too.
I kept throwing some personal experiences at it, but the genuine, I think, going to your point, BP, you were saying how, it's good we're doing some of these other things. I think that's the joy of where we've got this podcast now, is that our audience will come with us on the journey, and we can actually talk about lots of different things, and it's all interesting. Yeah, it's good. Morphing. Well, we'll still talk. Elke's
all garbage.
Well, Elke's the perfect guest though, because she's a fantastic sailor and an expert in that field. It was perfect for us to be able to. So she knew exactly what our audience was.
Love the way she spoke. It was just true, honest Australian.
Yeah.
Australian.
Speaking of getting ahead, of course, for our listeners, Radix Nutrition.
Say again. Speaking of what?
Yeah, that was Freudian. For our listeners, of course, Radix, the balanced nutrition anywhere you go. One of the things I've discovered, boys, is the range of the different meals that you can get, including there's sort of the low FODMAP meals, and then the keto meals, low carbohydrate meals, and then sort of superfood side dishes. So they've got some quite cool stuff going on, which you're only sort of really starting to work out.
Have you started loading the van up yet, J-Dog?
I've built the Radix storage container. Did you see that photo, boys?
Yes, we saw the photo that came through.
So that's gone actually quite well. It's been a lot of fun building out the van, but I haven't stuck the Radix stickers on the side, but I've definitely, it's going to be the perfect thing for when I'm mucking around and going off camping and stuff, because if you, that's what we're going to do with the van, and pull up onto a beach, and we've got the Radix Nutrition, so we know we're eating well and going well. And of course, my wife, who's got has to live the keto lifestyle, she's covered as well, so that's perfect. But yeah, so Radix Nutrition. And remember, if you do decide to have some, no stress. But if you do, go to the Radix website, so radixnutrition.com, and type in Barkarate, one word, Barkarate, Barkarate, and you'll get a 10% discount on your order, which is cool.
And that's forever too. It's not just a one-off. It's forever.
Yep. So happy
days. We're looking after you, Barkaratians.
Yeah. I've got some more discussion about looking after Barkaratians coming up. Shall we move on to other news?
Other news.
Shall.
Club events. So the obviously we've been sharing a bit of few photographs from our mates in NASA. The
NASA, absolutely.
Yep. So the F-18, that catamaran series, and now that there is the fully signed up boat.
How good was it?
Barkarate F-18.
Yeah. Barkarate F-18.
Got a bit of movement from that one. That was good.
Yeah.
The Gooks.
Bit of tightening, Bicey.
Signing up.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about that, and I'll sort of, I guess there's almost a bit of this rolls into the Jack Lloyd Listener of the Week. But first off, this weekend, so it's the Rhode Island State Champs this weekend, so NASA are a part of that. So that's going to be pretty cool. So just thought I'd share that is one of the regattas that's going on.
Well, as it turns out, so we're a part of it.
Yeah.
And how's our boat going? How's it scoring?
Well.
Have you seen?
So they had the 100 last weekend, which was 100 miles of sailing.
Yeah.
And on the back of that, this is what I was into, was there was a bit of trash talking coming out of it. So I think the Barkarate team finished fourth.
Yes.
The young fella, I think Lars was steering, so they got fourth. But on the back of that, on Instagram, there's a bit of where we got copied in on this. There's a lot of reason why cat sailing is better than monohulls, right? So Chris is.
This is going on Insta.
Yeah. So this is the NASA team there. So Chris getting into the banter, which we love. And he's not only just said there's a lot of reason why cat sailing is better than monohulls, he's actually called out at Guardians of the monohull, right? So he's actually targeted another group, right, which is great. Could your class race around Aquidneck Island in one afternoon? Throwing it down.
Question.
Yeah. So mad respect for that. Obviously, the fact that your state champs are again this weekend, so it's good. I've got to be honest, seeing the logo on a boat on the other side of the world is pretty freaking cool.
It's great, isn't it?
Not to
Same with our
mention,
old mate.
and for the listener, just go check out sailnasa.org, NAASA.org, and our logo is streaming on the bottom banner as well.
Is that right?
As the sponsor, and believe who we're next to. And it's probably goes hand in hand as a sponsor as well. EY.
And
then on the other side's a pub. So they've got us right at the Fastnet pub.
Okay.
Well,
for the New England 100, the results on that. So Fly Trade win, Todd Riccardi and Dalton Tebow took it out, 1-1 for a total of points of 2. So the 2 wins. The Surf Club, Mike Easton and Adam Moore in the second, and Capricorn, John Giuliano and Peter Giuliano in third, and then Gook Inc., which is Barkarati, Lars Gook and Olin Gook.
Oh, Gooko.
The Gooks.
Good work.
Good on.
The
Yeah.
Gooks.
Yeah.
Love it.
Go the Gooks.
Anyway, so that was good. The other one that I want to mention is that our Canadian friends have got
In Canada.
The Canadians.
the
the Canadians are back.
Canadians, the Women's Ontario
We
Championship.
hang out in Canada a lot.
The Women's Ontario Championship this weekend at Royal Canadian Canada Yacht Club in Toronto. So it'll be.
We ever got to say this seriously? Like doing a presentation or something?
God,
We just don't know
there's
the
no
real
chance.
word anymore.
No, it's just going to become Canada.
Yeah,
So,
that's it.
the Royal Canadian Yacht Club,
Yeah.
Toronto.
Yeah, and in the J105s, I think they're doing it. So just thought I'd would give that one a plug. And then, of course, the 75th Edinburgh Cup, the Dragons in the UK. That's, 75 years of racing
it?
boats. The beautiful.
Where's that?
Hey, it's on now. It's happening.
Is it? Oh.
Did you not? You miss it, bud.
Well, I'm down here. In
You love a
Portugal, so
dragon. You love a dragon,
I
people.
do. I know. Well,
Yeah.
the new factory that we're discussing.
The-
work with. They're doing the dragons.
We'll come back to
That
your new
photo
factory.
that photo is that I sent you is of a dragon. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I love them.
Anyway, that's another
cool.
story.
Okay, moving on. Okay, so a few events on. Unless anybody else has got another event they want to plug.
No, I want you. You've been so excited
Yeah.
all week
Yeah.
about this,
Yeah.
and you won't tell us what's going on. So
All
I'm
right.
excited to hear. Let's go.
So this is good. So while you two have been swanning about the globe, I haven't had to listen to you crap on, haven't had you picking up your phones and ringing me because you've been so focused on yourselves. You've left the old J-Dog alone, and he's a busy man and he gets things done. And when the phone's not ringing, he's got time. So I've been busy.
Speaking in the third.
The
sense.
third party.
Yeah, I've been busy. And
Jay's been. No, you should have said. And Jay's been busy.
He's been busy. So one of the things that we do under the Jack Lloyd Listener of the Week is that we say we may or may not be sending out
Merch packs.
a merch pack. One of the listeners of the show has a very successful company, makes fantastic products, and he loves the banter. He's a massive fan of the show, and he's come to us about, I see you're doing the erratic stuff. Does that mean we can do some sponsorship? And I said, well, yeah, you can, but straight away, 100%, perfect product. We're happy to support this company, and the relationship is really, really good with them. But I said we got to give something to the listeners. It's about the listeners of this show. It's not about necessarily us making money. So he wants to provide on a monthly basis. We'll go back through the listeners of the week, and they'll get. We haven't negotiated the final number. It'll be something like a $200 voucher or something, and you'll be able to buy.
What?
Yeah, on a monthly basis. This is what we've negotiated. So for the listeners, it's a
leave you
win.
alone for a week and you're off.
Hey?
Mate, hey, just
Leave him alone
leaving
for
us
a
in
week.
your smoke.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
But-
Pull him back.
So, but that'd be
Hey,
cool.
who is it? Who is it?
Well, I haven't signed the deal yet, so I'm building it up. But hopefully by next week it'll be in place.
You realise we're recording right now, don't you?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, if you win Listener of the Week, you may or may not get a merch pack.
Yeah,
but you will be getting a voucher of some sort for this particular company.
Yeah, every month we'll go and pick up the best ones out of the last
from that month.
Yeah, from that month.
Ah, yeah. Good.
So like there'll be
so the role is going to be go for Listener of the Week. May or may not get your merch pack. go in the draw to win our monthly prize.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So
along those lines.
Yeah,
at a company which we don't know what it is yet.
Well, we do know what it is. I haven't told you, blokes, but we definitely know what it is, and you're going to be stoked.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know what it is.
Yeah, but it'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be good stuff. You'll want it. But
so excited.
Yeah. So good outcome for everyone.
If you don't get an AO after this, I don't know what the hell's going on.
There's got to be an AM. I think we should go AM.
Well, the other thing is we spoke to the boys at Radix. They're very comfortable with it. We spoke to other people in the sailing industry. Just we don't want to piss anyone off. That's one of the reasons we've knocked back sponsorship. We don't want to piss anyone off. We want to keep relationships strong, and we've done that, and it's good. Everyone's happy. So and the listeners are going to get a Guernsey. There's only one downside to this. We're going to get an uptake or an uplift in the number of submissions, and it'll just mean me going through all the fucking emails.
Well, depends which form.
Throw it out to the girls out the front office, mate.
Yeah, we'll get the office to take care of it.
Get the
Back office
to take care of it.
Yeah, righto. Anyway.
Oh, good.
So our listeners of the week this week, first off has to be Tom Gayford.
Yourself.
Tommy Gayford on Instagram sent us the image of Kyle Langford doing the bark karate on the
bark
coach boat.
karate.
Yep.
Here. Yep.
Yeah. So we shared that. So the seagull, it could have been the seagull flapping wings with tight wings, but he
was trying to take off.
Yeah, could have been. But no, it was bark karate. He was doing the bark karate.
Jonathan Livingston.
Yeah, friend of the show, Kyle, just
good friend of the show.
Doing it as he loves. I like it. He's
been great for us, that boy. He's given his time very comfortably. And then the other one, of course,
he was a host at one stage.
Yeah. The other one's Jeff Cooper with the helmet email. He came through on that. We've shared that. I was trying to share these out before we put them on Facebook, so when we talk about them, people know that. So they're the two that I've got for listeners of the week. There were plenty of other people who've sent contributions in, but they're the two that stood out for me. Anything else?
Yeah, I had Dale Geddes during the week. He tags me in in the post of another friend of the show, Tyson Lamont.
Yeah.
Getting all American Magic story, and in the background you can see someone performing bark karate. So Dale,
I didn't even look in the background.
Yeah. Dale tags me, "Hey, Bicey, bark karate in the background." So
we better get that photo up, mate.
Good eyes, Geddes. I like it.
Yeah, nice.
Good eyes, Geddes. That's him, mate. That's his new name. Good eyes, Geddes.
Yeah, good eyes, Geddes.
He's going to laugh next time I see him and walk up to him and go, "G'day, good eyes."
Good eyes.
G'day, good eyes, Geddes.
I love it.
Ole, 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 ole. Feeling hot, hot, hot.
It's hot time with Bice.
Feeling hot, hot, hot.
Now, boys, before we get to the World Sailing, the Allianz World Sailing Championships, let's just one that did come sliding through during the week, Jean Le Cam's new vessel.
Weapon. Looks
great.
Mate,
what on... They're just getting, like, one, it's a piece of furniture, looks like. Two, there's some interesting thoughts going on, specifically in the bow area. It's got this, like, a little, I wouldn't call it a bulbous bow, but like an extra little piece there.
You can fit more accommodation.
Sort of thing, yeah.
More ACOM.
It's a bed. It's a bed, yeah.
And thirdly is the what we would call, it's going back to the traditional foil setup.
Yeah. Daggerboards.
So, daggerboards. Exactly.
Yeah.
But he remember
Look,
him
there's
in the last
something
one.
to be said about this. my friends.
Yeah. He said he was the one last time, and he was, nailing it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there is something to be said about it.
It's a
100%.
beautiful looking boat. Obviously
Built by friends of the show,
Yep.
Persico.
built by Persico, the boys at Persico and the ladies at Persico. Great team there, very close friends. He's rocked up with a new boat. She looks an absolute glamour. But as you say, Bicey, like he's definitely putting more accommodation in there. It's got a future life as a cruising boat.
Yeah. But basically, check it out. Just Google it. You'll find it somewhere.
Oh, it's on our Facebook page. If you go down our page, you'll be able to find it.
Yep. Shared on there. So have a little look ski, and it's keep watching this space because they keep popping out. We saw the ocean slab go together this week. The hull and deck being joined. The ocean slab. That looks pretty extreme. We're looking forward to seeing that popping out. And I did see another one where they were just craning the new foils in.
Yep.
Aren't they getting into some sexy little things?
It's a good
Let me
time.
tell you.
It is a good time. There's some cool stuff in the water. Continue, because I'm going to throw some controversy out.
Controversy.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
Controversy.
All right, boys, do we just go straight to the Worlds Sailing
I
World
think we do.
Championships?
Yep.
Which is basically taken. It's all finished, right? Or today's the last day?
Yeah,
Sunday.
pretty much, yeah.
There's a couple of gold medal races happening today. It's been run and pretty much won. There's a whole host. Did you have any highlights, Jordan?
My
I
highlights,
ask?
watching the lasers at the top mark when the tide was running full bore and everyone
How
underlaying.
much fun was that? I loved it.
The Elke.
There was some classic.
The Ilka.
There was some
yeah.
classic. There was some classic manoeuvres going on, wasn't there?
Yeah. Obviously,
Once you're in there,
the highlights for me are just how well people sail these boats, like at the amount of time and effort people are putting in, and it's really, really evident. But then you still get like domination, like in the NACRA 17s. You got a team there that
Ilkas. Look at the results in the Ilkas.
Yeah, that's right. That some people have just got that extra special magic touch, which is great. It's fantastic. But the pumping, I just can't. World sailing, I get it's kind of like world sailing. This is the way I'm thinking of it. So, the Olympics, you could just accept drug use and not test for it and leave it alone, and let
Whoever
people
wins
Becomes
wins.
superhuman, and we run 100 meters in 4 seconds.
And I feel pumping's kind of the same thing, that the world sailing just couldn't, there's so much
Couldn't
effort
control it.
in trying to control it and punish people and make it so it's fair across the fleet, and it just was too hard. So they threw their hands up in the air and said, let everyone go pumping. And it just is awful to watch, particularly in the 470s. Like the
470s,
the air route.
I think the air rooting, or a dog rooting a cricket ball, as we call it.
It's cricket ball. But it was just doing my head, and then watching him downwind, it clearly, it doesn't happen as much. Say, I was watching the 49ers versus the 470s, and because there's more power in the rig, there's less. They just don't have the time to pumping, because the boat's fully powered up. The 470s it's so underpowered, and it's starting to, I think, much respect. I love all the existing classes, and I don't want to chase people out of classes, but I think it's time for world sailing to sort of modernise the fleet. The 470 just looks underdone. The fact that everybody there's nobody above 80 kilos at the whole of the world, that
Lots of bananas were eaten.
lots of bananas being eaten.
Yeah.
I just
And
feel
lots of cricket
like
balls getting rooted.
our sports ended up in a corner. It's ended up in a part of the envelope, and the rest of the sports just said, "Oh, we don't care anymore. And we've moved
We don't give
on."
a shit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and
yeah.
the rest of the sports doing really, really cool stuff, and the Olympics is doing really, really, really shit stuff. And I'm the dingy guy out of the three of us. I'm still more passionate about dinghies than the offshore stuff, comparative. And I mean, you both are passionate about it, but you know, I'm biased more that way. The sailing will be out of the Olympics pretty. Well, I mean, the Olympics will be dead soon anyway. I don't think they'll go past 2032. I just can't see it. They're too expensive. You know, I'm reckon sailing will be.
Yeah, this is true.
But obviously, most of the income comes from the Olympics participation for a lot of our sailing sporting bodies. It's that TV revenue that comes from the Olympics. So it's very hard for the administrators, but we need to. Something needs to change, I reckon. I don't know what you guys. I mean, I was pretty stoked.
We can go into a little bit of a debate. I mean, I'm loving
bring back the rainbow. It's pretty straightforward.
Bring back the rainbow. Yeah. I'm loving the IQs. I've been watching the IQs. I think they're a great addition.
Well, there you go. It's falling back.
For me, that's some of that sailing in those IQs is just fantastic.
Yep. I mean, I'm enjoying the Niners. You know, like I really do.
Like the FXs and the 49ers. I think they're still a good addition.
What's that?
That's the expensive part, though. Those boats are expensive.
Yeah. That's the problem. The expense of the boats, you know, and I mean the lasers look pretty good. I was enjoying watching I like watching all sailing.
Those new rigs actually look like they work.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I do have to say, for
big crease down the middle they used to have at the joint of the aluminium ones.
Yeah. I was chatting to one Trevor Butcher the other night saying,
Trevor Butcher.
Literally probably watching that same bit of footage you guys. And they're almost planing up wind now.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, not quite. But
not quite.
4.6 knots.
Getting a bit excited there.
Yeah. But no, you're right. They're looking good.
Some pretty standout sailing by the top few in that fleet, wasn't it? And so going to the last day, they were pretty close. You know, the Kiwi guy was actually looking pretty close there for a bit.
Yeah, how good?
Matty Wern just got away from it.
Yeah. What about a bit of Aussie bias here? I've got to say, how quickly even
I want to mention them.
Liv Price got to the top of the tree in the 49er FX. I can't believe that, because that's one well-sailed boat like that. The level of the sailors in that fleet is right there. And
I wanted to propose a question to you guys about it, actually, a little bit about not being Aussie-centric, but being sort of in this thing. Given Olivia's and Evie's result and Matt Wern, it put Australia back in a pretty solid position in the world sailing. You know, like they're two of the pretty hard fleets. I'm not saying that we
arguably
UK is still the strongest by a long way.
Yeah,
but
arguably with Gray in the IQ foil as well.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of you don't want to say that he stole defeat from the jaws of victory, but he was right there. He had one bad day, and that's how close it is. But ninth in that fleet, far out in his first year.
Yeah.
Come on,
it's good.
I think we're looking really good.
We'll do okay. I mean, I'm not
UK
sure.
Looking great.
Huh?
UK looking pretty good.
Yeah,
as well. Still.
Yeah. Anyway, but obviously love seeing it. Thanks to World Sailing for putting it on. Thank you for all the coverage and the ability to watch it. Stoked. I just hope that there's a future plan. The problem for World Sailing, of course, is all the member nations have the vote, and they can't. The member nations are just going to try and keep going with what suits them, and so they're kind of stuffed. They've put themselves into a corner, and I feel like they need to get out of that corner pretty hard, or otherwise the sport will die.
I think you should put yourself forward for president. IOC.
I think you should. I think you should go for it.
Yeah.
OM. OA. Jordan Spencer. OA.
Get right on to
OA. AM.
Sir Jordan Spencer. OA.
All right. Let's move on before we get into too much trouble. I think we might be too late.
What else we got, boys? We got the TP starting Barcelona today.
A couple of days.
So we'll be keeping a pretty close eye on that.
Yeah.
And I'll actually be looking forward to catching up with the fleet when they're back in Palma.
You've got the world.
You're going to be immersed, aren't you? From now on, you're going to.
On the ground,
talking crap with them all, and tell them how good you are.
Well, I don't know. I'll have to be careful which hat I'm wearing. Sun's hat, Barcarati hat. What is it?
As long as you're wearing a hat for sunscreen purpose.
That's right. Exactly.
That's right.
And what have we got? A-class worlds.
Yep.
A-class worlds. Yep.
Yep, coming up 9th to 15 September, so they're not far away. Yep. I know Ravi's over there doing a big build-up in the A class, so he'll be hoping to go back and win the Worlds again on those. So that's interesting. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. The A classes, of course, is one of those classes that's moved right along and just doing a fantastic job. You know, they're still really relevant. So, yeah.
Did anyone catch up with the RC44s last week?
Yeah. No, we've done that one. We did that last week.
Did we?
Yeah.
We talked about that last week, did we? Sorry. Had a big week. I think so.
I do want to throw one out there, boys.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Well, first off, the new Bjorn Dunkerbeck video, Born to Windsurf. Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
Good.
Got a thumbs up back from our little, I thought I'll give that a bit of a tag. So I posted up on our Facebook and Bjorn's come back, bit of thumbs up. So all good.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
He's a good friend of the show now. We've gone well.
Oh, it's just all over it.
But
I think we're in the credits.
Yeah. So starting, I think
Big Bark Ridey comes up at the end.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's the new
credits.
New
special thanks, dude.
You two idiots. I don't know. Anyway, there's new video or documentary coming out, and it'll be pretty cool called Born to Windsurf. So we'll get onto that. I wouldn't mind doing a bit of movie reviewing of sailing movies. I reckon that'd be a ton of fun.
Absolutely.
And then the other one, I just thought I'd mention one of our mates, Mark Bow.
We start with wind.
We've got to do wind. Mark Bow, who runs the old, I think what's he's called, Scadlings, his production company, Scadlings Media Workshop. He's done a sports documentary called There Is No Second with Mirapuri Foundation. So that'll be interesting. So
keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah. So that's out. So if you go to Scatterling, as in like how the South Africans use the word, Scatterlings Media Workshop, or just search for Mark Bow, Mark with a C. Our mate has put that out, and we've worked with him for quite a few years on a few things. So good on you, Mark. Well done.
Yeah. Check that out.
And so that'll be good. And then I want to throw one more out at you boys. And you both, I've sent it through twice, and both times neither of you have replied to it in any way whatsoever. And I reckon it'll be our highest rating episode ever if we do it.
All right, go ahead.
We debate what is the best cruising boat, and we get someone like us three, right, who've got no cruising experience whatsoever, except for going with the parents when we're kids.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. And then we get like top level races,
different people.
Yeah, so we'll get like Nico and we'll get Canute. Right, they've both done the big ocean crossings. They're hardcore ocean racers. They've done everything, and get them on, and then actually debate from the racing sailor what the best cruising boat is, and let's actually decide. Is it a monohull? Is it a cat? Is it a trimaran? Is it short? Is it long?
Does it have Southern Spars rig?
You're entering into real deep water here.
I want to throw that. I reckon the
That's
punters
a
will.
good question. Absolutely, and people can even write in with their personal experiences.
Yeah, there you go. Might get your listener of the week. Might earn
Cheers
something.
at barkrady.com, and you might be able to win a $200 voucher. Yeah, I love it.
From somewhere that we don't know where it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's 200.
It's a local chicken shop.
Yeah,
everything not 200 now.
No, it probably is. So we just haven't signed on the dotted line yet. But I think
okay. So
it's
and you have to live on the Sunshine Coast, and it's a chicken shop.
Yeah,
it's the Drunken Sailor Burger Shop.
You're going to get $200 worth of hot chips at a Drunken Sailor fish and chip shop. That's exactly what it is. And yes, listeners, where I live, there is a fish and chip shop called Drunken Sailor.
Named.
Can vouch for it. Send me a T-shirt.
Yeah. Love it. Anything else, boys?
No, all
that's
good.
me, boys.
That's us.
Cool.
Sunday afternoon in Portugal. Going to go and watch the World go by.
Yeah, love it. Go a little leg stretch down the promenade.
A little bit of a tinkle.
Yeah, get the shirt off, get tanned up. Oh, hang on. No, you won't be doing
I'm in northern northern Europe, in Europe, so it's not so bad.
Northern Portugal. Love it.
Northern
Nice.
Portugal, that's
Cool.
it. Trying to say. Yeah, come on, off we go. Cheers.
All right.
Bye all.
Guitar.
Thanks
Guitar
for listening,
out.
everyone.
In the lobby at the hotel.
Really
Very much
appreciate
so.
you listening. Remember, if you go to radixnutrition.com and use the tag Barker80, you can get yourself some discounted Radix. So perfect nutrition for the going sailing, balanced nutrition anyway.